Crises against violence perpetrated on innocent citizens in the restive northwest, southwest and far north regions keep rising, with the latest coming in from the National Commission on Human Rights and Freedoms. As the world observes the International Day of the Girl Child today, the need for education becomes the conditio sine qua non for the girl child to fully participate in national development. Plus, Cameroon pockets more than 35 billion Cfa francs from financial markets in an exercise overseen by the Bank of Central African States, BIAC. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I am Benen Bumagana. This is the 7:30 News.
Each of us must comply with the measures that have been taken.
We're coming to you live from Studio 5 of the Crtv Production Center, Mbalatu, Yaoundé. The National Commission on Human Rights and Freedoms has condemned the violence perpetrated on citizens in conflict-stricken regions of the country. The 2.5-page document, signed by the acting president of the commission, James Mwange Kubila, also decries the propagation of hate speech and calls for insurrection by some political parties. Gilbert Ongene read through the document and now reports.
This declaration, published on the website of the National Commission on Human Rights and Freedoms, does not only frown at violence in all its forms, but equally preaches tolerance and dialogue.
We say violence cannot build a country. Who can accept how they kill women, how they kill children? Who can accept it? No one can accept it. So we have to work together. We have to work for peace.
They have, in this declaration signed by the acting national president, underlined the need to work for peace and reconciliation, affirming that the major national dialogue is a step in the right direction.
This dialogue who has taken place was for us a very good thing. But now we need that all these decisions which were taken at this occasion must be implemented.
As Cameroon joins the rest of the international community this month of October to observe International Day of Non-Violence, the National Human Rights Commission posits that security, the respect of human rights, the promotion of a culture of peace and tolerance are crucial ingredients for sustainable development.
Today's International Day of the Girl Child. In Cameroon, education has been identified as one of the important ways of empowering women and girls with skills and self-confidence to participate fully in national development. However, many forms of discrimination still stand against the way of the education of the girl child. Constantine Baum has been looking at these different forms of discrimination and now elucidates.
Cameroon has made key strides towards gender equality through major international commitments, including the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women and the Girl Child and the Rights of the Girl Child. Implementation has worked well in urban areas as these girls freely go to school. In rural areas, discrimination still exists.
We have certain customs, especially in the northern regions. There is still the problem of forced and early marriages, and girls are mostly the victims. Many young girls leave school because of early marriages. We have also observed that some families prefer to educate their male children instead of girls. All these forms of discrimination affect the education of girls.
There are some cultures where girls and women do not exist. They are not yet reached at the human being level.
The choice of subjects by parents might be a problem to female students.
Concerning the choice of subjects, we have the impression that some families do all to have their sons focus on science subjects, while they see the girls as weak for the sciences. Meanwhile, the girls can become better engineers and doctors.
The government and our partners continue to work hard to ensure that the empowerment of women and young girls gets to its intended destination.
The celebration of the 9th edition of the International Day of the Girl Child this Sunday comes against a backdrop of measures the government and partners are taking to empower this category of citizens in the far north region. Among the stumbling blocks faced by the girl child in the region in their quest for education is early and forced marriages, often with undesirable consequences. Sylvester Temkeng reports from Maroa.
Among the problems faced by the girl child in the far north region is teenage and forced marriage, which constitute a stumbling block to her education. Some of the forced marriages are short-lived, hence the young ladies switch to street hawking in order to provide for themselves and their family. Worse still, some teenage mothers suffer from obstetric fistula after childbirth and are abandoned to themselves.
To overcome this early marriage is to allow these children, especially these girls, to go to school and stay in school, and in that line government and its partners are giving some kits to these children, these young girls, to allow them to go to school.
The government have also been contributing in helping to curb this obnoxious practice.
The government, however, has taken a number of measures to curb this worrying situation, such as the creation of platforms for sensitization, numerous empowerment and vocational training centers, and personal assistance.
As the nation and the world observes the International Day of the Girl Child, the wish of the stakeholders is to ensure that the girl child in the far north region enjoy her full rights, including the right to education, and cease to be victims of early and forced marriages.
Cameroon has secured more than 35 billion CFA francs from financial markets in an exercise overseen by the Bank of Central African States, BEAC. The operation falls in line with the public securities goal of the government for the fourth quarter. Crise Aretakang tells us more.
The Ministry of Finance had set a target of 35 billion CFA francs to secure funds through long-term treasury bonds in October 2020. More than that amount was raised during an exercise which was announced on the 1st of October and the auction proper on the 7th of October 2020. A little more than 35.9 billion CFA francs got into the state coffers as a result for the fungible treasury bonds with a 6-year maturity and a 6% interest rate. Investors went through the public securities market of the Bank of Central African States, even though a majority of them came from Cameroon. Economists attribute the success of the operation to the fact that, even though COVID-19 has dealt a blow on numerous economies, Cameroon's resilience gives the country a positive outlook, thus providing a sense of trust in the government to honor its obligations during payback. October's public securities performance is the first for the fourth quarter, with a 180 billion CFA francs goal to attain by December 2020, with assimilable treasury vouchers totaling 60 billion CFA francs included.
Let's say what now about back to school. The first week of the 2020-2021 school year in the Sanaga Maritime Division of the Littoral region witnessed an influx of teachers and students to the different schools of the division. The week also witnessed roundtable discussions on the theme of the World Teachers' Day. Rosalind Fossa has a balance sheet of the first week of resumption in the Sanaga Maritime Division.
October 5, 2020 rendezvous was also respected by pupils, students, teachers and school heads in the Sanaga Maritime Division of the Littoral region. 1 week after the start of the 9-month academic journey, education officials in the division have recorded slight hindrances.
Realized that students were not enough into classrooms. Teachers also were just few. Principals have difficulties into schools in Idea 1 and Idea 2 subdivision school because of many students. We gave them instruction to share classrooms.
For a remarkable and more efficient start, the Joshua Protestant College of Idea chose to welcome students by organizing an open door for parents to get acquainted with their children's school environment.
We do the best to let the parents of in this area of Idea to see the good job you are doing here.
This first week was also an occasion for the establishment to gather teachers of the town of Idia to reflect on the theme of this year's World Teachers Day, Teachers Leading in Crisis, Reimagining the Future.
Teachers should not forget what they have as objective in their various classrooms. Teachers should not forget about the teaching and learning process and engage themselves into politics.
The back-to-school train is on in the Senegal Maritime Division, and actors are looking forward to a successful end.
Pupils and students in the Ngaoundéré 3 Council have received didactic material to be used for an effective 2020-2021 school year. The donation made by the mayor of the council and CPDM officials of the area included some agricultural tools given to parents. Elise Waji Banmi reports.
A total of 271 pupils and students from different schools in the Ngaoundéré 3 area benefited from this year's Excellence Award ceremony. I am very happy after receiving these gifts. It will be an extra motivation for me to study harder. I thank the donors. Apart from the numerous didactic materials, the mayor of the Ngaoundéré 3 Council and the CPDM Vina South 1C section president equally donated some agricultural tools to parents in the area.
Essentially, we are in the agricultural area, rural area. It is our manner to help, to accompany the parents and pupils to do their best to excel in their work, in their study. So we need to have good human resources here.
Also, as part of the event, officials of the recently created Dang District Hospital received medical kits which they say will help provide quality health care to inhabitants of the Ngaoundéré 3 municipality.
And the Ministry of Justice and the United Nations High Commission for Refugees have validated the National Action Plan Against Statelessness at a workshop in Yaoundé. The action plan is in line with the 1954 to 1961 Convention to rectify the rights of stateless persons. Gerard Nanji Eyambe reports.
Without any nationality, stateless persons do not have access to basic rights enjoyed by ordinary citizens. It is against this backdrop that the N'Djamena initiative has been recommended to Central African states to come up with a national action plan against statelessness.
From N'Djamena to Cameroon, you have a lot of people, especially because of the Boko Haram, who are across the border, but you cannot know if they are Chadian people or Cameroonian. It is the duty of the state to deliver nationality where children are born and they don't do any birth certificate to the children. How can you prove your nationality?
The United Nations High Commission for Refugees is also involved in reducing and preventing statelessness.
It will also allow Cameroon to create a body in charge of protecting stateless persons, helping these people to acquire status which will protect them.
The idea is that with the right conditions in place, obstacles to citizenship will gradually give way.
The back-to-school fever is gradually dropping, but along the main highways in the country, gendarmerie road safety guards are keeping a steady watch against delinquent road users. BrigadeAntiSardinard followed the Alpha operation yesterday Saturday to the Yaoundé-Douala National Road number 3 and now reports on measures taken against the disrespect of the highway code.
Any delinquent behavior on the Cameroonian highways is halted by the National Gendarmerie. This accounts for a drastic drop of accidents by 30% since the road safety campaign was launched in 2011. The situation on the Yaoundé-Douala axis started today.
Schools have effectively resumed, and we are watching out for accident-prone offences as speeding, failure to wear seats, belts, and worn-out tights.
COVID-19 is still a problem, and the reinforcement of government measures against the pandemic is also the mission of the National Gendarmerie.
Concerning anti-COVID-19 measures, we continue to sensitize on use of face masks, physical distancing, and washing of hands.
The motorized unit of the Pandos tracked down any defaulter who worsens their situation by attempting to escape.
The newly commissioned mayor of Bayangam, Leopold Nuta, has been called upon to use his rich experience in management to continue the socio-economic development of Bayangam. The senior divisional officer of Kunki, Donatien made the call during a ceremony to commission communal executives of the Bayangam Council. Chetebak reports.
The newly commissioned mayor of the Bayangam Council, Leopold Nuta, and his deputies now have the instrument of power to conduct the affairs of the Bayangam local council government. Commissioning them at the Kasap ceremonial ground at Bayangam, the senior divisional officer of Kunki, Donatien encouraged the communal executives to keep to their campaign pledges, during which they promised the electorate that they will toil for the development of their locality.
As they promised during the political campaign, to construct schools, hospitals, to maintain the roads.
The Bayangam municipality is reputed for electricity, power outages, waterlogged roads, and the likes. These will constitute the first gravel in the shoes of Mayor Leopold Nuta and his men.
The intention is to go ahead with the project, the promises we did during the campaign.
Pupils and students who performed excellently during the last academic year were recognized through the awards of special gifts. Teachers were not left out in the entire show.
On to some church news now. The 45th ordinary session of the leadership of the Église Presbyterian has ended in Yaoundé with a firm resolve to organize the National Youth Action Congress in 2021. The four-day convention ended with a divine service at the Sinota Center of the APC Emmanuel BMRC Parish. Gerard Nanje Yambe reports.
These are the representatives of the Protestant and Evangelical Youth Action, a Christian movement drawn from the 32 presbyteries of the EPC in Yaoundé. For the past 4 days, they have been brainstorming on their contribution to the growth of the church.
We have received the reports of all the committees and commissions, be able to accomplish and fulfill all what we have planned here.
They took part in evangelism, charity works, and Christian faith.
We are to hold our National Congress next year in 2021 to do everything that we can to maintain the climate that we are witnessing in our presbytery, to do everything to help the Synod and the National Congress.
They have given thanks to God for a successful come together and have been reminded to put their trust in Him as their helper.
Still in religion, the president of the Islamic Association of Cameroon, Idi Mama, meets with imams to talk about the growing association and look for lasting solutions to the socio-political crisis in the country. Let's hear more from Victor Siga in this report.
The meeting between the president of the Islamic Association of Cameroon, Idi Mama, and these imams focused on finding strategies for the growth of the association and how to contribute solutions to the socio-political crisis rocking some regions of the country.
The imam is our religious leaders in the community, so we have to sensitize them about what we are aiming to do. We have asked them to continue to pray for our country.
The imams were thus called upon to work towards the promotion of these goals as well as the Islamic culture.
What we are expecting from them is that they will continue the message, sensitize all the Muslims how we can continue to live together.
The association intends achieving this through the development of Islamic education.
the wearing of face masks in public places will be mandatory until further notice.
There's a point in the newscast where we talk about our fight against COVID-19. And in this fight, we go over to the littoral region of the country to see what was done to prevent COVID-19 during the first week of classes in this 2020-2021 school year. Baldwin Sama is standing by at the Public Health Emergency Center with a guest to tell us more. Hello, Baldwin.
Good evening to you, Benin Bumagana. This Sunday, we take you to the littoral region of Cameroon, where we meet our guest, Abel Gustave Mbela, who is the head of Brigade for the Control of Health Activities at the Littoral Regional Delegation of Public Health 1 week after the start of the 2020-2021 school year. Gustave Abel Mbela, good evening to you.
Good evening, sir.
Tell us, did you face any difficulties in the littoral region of Cameroon as much as implementing these sanitary measures to limit the spread of COVID-19 in the different schools, both primary and secondary?
Firstly, we need to take note that this situation concerns the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education, and it is but normal that due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the Delegation of Public Health accompanied those ministries to protect the welfare of our children. This measure includes the compulsory wearing of masks in school, the provision of hand washing facilities in each class, the respect of social distancing within the school premises, the control of temperature, the availability of spare class in case of any suspected cases, the capacity building of teachers in the prevention and control of any suspected case. All these barrier measures are not exhaustive in themselves, and which is very much applicable in various schools of the littoral region.
Tell us, Mr. Mbela, what is the situation so far? One of the means to limit the spread of the virus was the systematic screening of the different teachers upon having access into the different schools. What's the situation 1 week after?
Yes, with regards to the screening of teachers in the littoral region, the Regional Delegate of Public Health accompanies the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education in its implementation. But at the moment, it is still early to give an assessment since the measures put in place began early this month and it's still ongoing. But notwithstanding, it is of importance to note that the Regional Delegate of Public Health has addressed a correspondence to all district health chiefs asking them to enforce the strict measures of screening the 33rd, 6th, and 76 teachers. 1,588 teachers have been tested, which constitute just 6% of the work done.
Thank you so much, Abel Gustave Mbela. You are the head of the Brigade for the Control of Health Activities at the Littoral Regional Delegation of Public Health. These barrier measures will continue being respected, so says the officials of the Ministries of Public Health, Basic and Secondary Education throughout this school year. Back to you, Benin Bumagana.
And thank you very much, Baldwin Sama von Kmer. The personnel of the technical department of CRTV Radio have celebrated their director, Simon Gutuga, who goes on retirement after 34 years of service. During the solemn ceremony which took place at the broadcasting house here in Yaoundé, his colleagues and friends thanked him for his loyal services rendered to the CRTV. Rabiatu Njingi Abdulaziz with the details.
A father, a mentor, and a boss he was to most of the collaborators that worked with him for the past 34 years, and to them his retirement will be a hard pill for them to swallow.
He met me here in 2005. He brought to us what we call the vivre ensemble we are talking now in this country. He was acting as a father father of all the workers, it was not easy for me to believe that he can not be with me to give me more advice.
To him, God has been at the center of his 34 years of service rendered to the CRTV.
It's first a grace. Thanks to God who gave me all resources, natural, spiritual, intellectual, physical, the health to hold 34 years. But I'm very grateful to God and grateful to my collaborators.
Being the oldest director of the house, Simon Gutuga goes on retirement as a fulfilled man.
15 years of director without interruption. I'm the oldest director of CRTV. He was some competence for my the kind of working and what I gave myself.
He spent 34 years as a worker, 15 years as the technical director of the radio house. Good luck, Mr. Director.
Very big God bless you, Mr. Director, and a happy retirement. The Elessa Lawton Sen Foundation has begun rallying golfers for the second edition of the Open Golf Charity Tournament come December 2020. It is a platform to promote professional golfers and amateurs in Cameroon. Details with Daniel Ekonde.
It was last month in Crtv. The foundation started creating awareness of the grand tournament scheduled for the 8th to the 12th of December 2020. The caravan is now moving across golf centers in Douala and Tiko. The finale in December will rally some 35,000 golf professionals and over 7,000 amateurs at the Yaoundé Golf Club, according to the Elessa Lawton Sen Foundation. Registration will start on December 1. Through the event, the organization will push through its sporting values of benevolence and fairness. Fcfa 300,000 will be given to the champions of each category, with other proceeds channeled to the foundation's charity arm.
We come to the end of this edition of the newscast where we talked against violence in the restive regions, the importance of education for the girl child, and Cameroon putting more than 35 billion CFA francs from financial markets in the coffers. Thank you very much for watching. At 8:30, you would follow Atabadin Omar, and from tomorrow, of course, you meet another team. I'll be back here on Friday for what is making news in Cameroon and around the world. God bless you.
In this connection, we should avoid stigmatizing.
CG, village niché au cœur de la forêt équatoriale, dans l'arrondissement de Lamzé, au sud du Cameroun. À la tombée de la nuit, la magie de la danse se révèle. Les jeunes du village se rassemblent au son des tambours, castagnettes et chants. Ils trouvent leur plaisir à revisiter le vaste répertoire des danses patrimoniales et les berceuses qui vont avec.
On la danse presque tous les soirs, façon de regrouper les jeunes du village parce que nous voyons que nous sommes en train de perdre la culture et du coup, chaque soir, on rassemble les jeunes, nous nous rassemblons, nous dansons, nous chantons. Vous voyez, il y a plus de jeunes que d'adultes là. Même ils créent leur chant, ils apprennent les pas de danse et vous savez, la jeunesse, ça capte vite. C'est un mélange d'identité culturelle, en fait, parce que ils ont innové, quoi.
Se laisser entraîner par le rythme, ajouter sa propre inspiration au pas déjà connu et laisser parler son corps. C'est le principe chez ces amateurs passionnés.
Zodakaraka, Eli Martin, Eyama boy, Mamma Mia, and Mammy Martin, and Sanyangali, Mamma, oh, Uncle Aunt.
Les plus âgés, tout aussi passionnés, ont fait de l'exécution de ces danses patrimoniales un passe-temps favori, mettant ainsi